Welcome, I am 𝐸𝐬𝐸 and your host for Keep Traveling Your African Vacation, the only podcast which brings you insightful information in the African tourism industry by real tourism professionals. Today we have another great episode to bring you, and I have the pleasure of introducing Angela Caratelli, who's the General Manager at Vilanculos Beach Lodge. Angela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Very exciting.
For international listeners, can you tell us where your property is located in Africa?
Right, so we're located in the city of Vilanculo, which is in the province of 𝐸𝐸𝐸 in Mozambique. We are actually the gateway into the Bazaruto National Park, the Marine National Park, and just a short flight away from Johannesburg.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a beautiful place to live. Tell me, what's a normal day for you look like at the property?
Oh, I'd love to say that it's me spending the day by the pool. I'm very fortunate. I live on the premises, which means I've got a very short commute to work. I just come down our beautiful staircase every morning and see the sun rising. Traditionally, the days start really early, getting our teams prepped for the day. Our little breakfast buffet gets set out, lounges set out by the pool. So basically just creating an environment where by the time the guests get up, everything is looking spick and span and ready for them to enjoy their day. Checking in with the team, copious amounts of coffee, and trying to enjoy the outdoors as much as possible before I get into my office for the next 8 hours.
So was tourism always going to be the plan for you, Angela?
Absolutely. I left school and I had parents that sort of said to me, you need to get a job immediately. So I went and worked in a bank, hated it. And then as quick as I could, I got out of it and I got into a travel agency. So I was a travel agent for almost 20 years. I actually eventually owned my own little travel agency. So I did that for almost 20 years. And then we had this amazing opportunity to come and manage a property in Mozambique, not the one we're with now, a previous property. We came in, we refurbed that, rebranded that, and then we got approached to manage this beautiful property in Vilanculo, and it's the best decision ever.
I can see that, and I mean, listen, I've been to Vilanculo. I know how beautiful it is, so I envy you a lot. What makes your property different from the other properties around you?
So in terms of our location, obviously being the gateway into the Bazaruto National Park, that's an amazing opportunity for us, and it allows the guests they've got a nice choice when arriving in terms of how many activities they'd like to participate in, knowing that they're able to actually go into the park, experience the different islands, experience the different diving spots or the snorkeling spots. So that's definitely one of the perks of being in Vilanculo specifically. Most boat rides to the island. So if you're going into Bazaruto, for example, it's a quick 45 minutes speedboat trip into the park, and you're then in the Bazaruto either on the island or on 𝐸𝐸𝐸 Island. So in terms of location, the fact that we're the gateway into the park, that's amazing. With regards to Beach Lodge specifically, I think that what makes us different, we believe in hospitality, the essence of the word. We want guests to feel that they're in their home while they're staying with us. We go to great lengths to get to know our guests on a really personal level. My team's amazing. They pick up on little likes and dislikes really quickly, and making sure that the guest, as soon as he gets off that boat or he's gone out for the day fishing, when he arrives, my team's waiting with a beer. Our personal approach and the personal touch with the guests, I think that's what really sets us apart. We have a goodbye ceremony that we do with our guests where the team leaders all come out to do a beautiful goodbye, and we give them all little gifts so they remember us. And it's often hugs and tears before the guests leave. Besides our amazing location, I think that our biggest strength would be the people. My team's amazing.
I've never heard of people saying goodbye. I always know that there's a welcome ceremony in different places, but you would be the first to come up with this ceremony of the goodbyes, and I think that's a good thing. It's the first time I've ever heard of it. Definitely unique, and well done to you guys. When guests are leaving at that ceremony, is there something in particular that guests always rave about after they leave?
The feedback regarding the experience they've had, the human contact in terms of the experience they've had with the actual team. Our kitchen gets some really great reviews as well. But I would say what shines would definitely be the experience they've had with the team. They feel that they've bonded with the team, they've been taken beautiful care of while they were here. And that would probably be the highlight, I think, the team.
You are in contact with a lot of the guests, and you've been in the tourism industry for quite a while. So not particularly with Vilanculos Beach Lodge, but what's been the most or one of the most rewarding experiences that you've had with a guest?
I'd like to bring in our corporate social responsibility in on this one. We've adopted Goodwill, which is a vulnerable children's home here in Vilanculos, and we encourage our guests to go out and visit the kids and visit the facilities. It's a beautiful place. And the feedback when the guests return, and I'm here to welcome them back from that experience, and just seeing the joy, they're just in awe in terms of what's been done with this amazing project. I would say that's probably my highlights. The other highlights for me is obviously, guests leaving and just saying thank you so much. We've had the best holiday ever and we'll definitely return. We've got a huge amount of return guests. For example, for December, currently at 80% of my occupancy for December are actually return guests. So that's always a highlight as well. It's watching people make human connections. So whether it is with the kiddies at Goodwill or whether it's with the team on the ground or myself, it's really about watching the guests arrive in Vilanculos, often a little tired and just looking forward to swimming pool and pina coladas. And by the time they leave, they've made that human connection. I think that's for me would be the highlights.
And you're talking about returning guests. Let's talk about your clientele and where they're coming from. Do you have a lot of clientele coming from overseas to Vilanculos? Is this part of a package that they've put together as other parts of Southern Africa? How does that quite work out for you?
So we rely heavily on our travel agents, our partners. The most popular trips would be your bush and beach. So we've got a lot of Europeans coming through. My clients, I would say, would be the French, the Spanish, and the Italians. Those would be my top three in terms of occupancy year-round. Specifically in August, we have all the Europeans coming through in August. August is actually a busier month than December, ironically. There is an emerging market, especially with the Nordic countries, for example. But at this stage, I would say that it's mainly Italy, Spain, France. We're also French-speaking, myself and my husband are the management team, so that helps. And then they do the bush and beach. So our travel partners tend to put together packages that would include often Cape Town, for example. And then they go up into the Kruger Park. And then from the Kruger Park, they come through to us. They've spent maybe a week in the Kruger and they're tired because they've been getting up at 5 o'clock every morning to go and do their game drives. So it's a nice way to end off your vacation in Southern Africa with a nice little beach resort where either you can do lots of activities or you can also just sit by the pool and just laze about for the rest of the holiday prior to going home.
Besides just the views, what do you love most about the area?
I keep going back to the same point. Living in Mozambique has just been such a pleasure. I'm very passionate about the country. I'm very passionate about tourism in the country, and I'm very passionate about the future of this country. I keep going back to the people. My experience here is made richer by the people. People are really friendly, very warm. It's very safe. I sleep with my door open every night, in contrast to my experience in South Africa, for example. It's a very different experience. And watching my children, we brought up 2 children here. They were homeschooled here. And watching my children grow into these sensitive, socially aware, socially conscious kids because of the environment they're in. You don't take anything for granted.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. The African people, and being born and bred in Zimbabwe and then living in South Africa and spending the vast majority of my life in Africa, the African people are just so underrated as far as a peace-loving culture, if you like. In your area, are there any sort of traditional foods or events that guests always fall in love with?
I would say the most popular tour that we have actually is our cultural tour. It is not a Disney tour. It's an extremely organic, extremely real excursion and an experience that the guests go out and have. It's run by a young man called 𝐸𝐿𝐴. He was actually the first person that I met when we arrived at Vilanculos Beach Lodge. He was one of the first guides that we met, and he started off as this small little company. And today he's just about to launch his website that we've helped him with. So we work in close partnership with 𝐸𝐿𝐴. He offers these amazing excursions into town. And that would probably be one of the highlights. It gives guests the experience in terms of going to see the market where they can see traditional vegetables, the fish being sold, meals. And then also they go out and have lunch with him, either at a local homestead or at one of our local restaurants. They love the overall experience of being able to understand town and how it operates in terms of for themselves as guests, but also for the locals. And then being able to go and actually sit down with 𝐸𝐸𝐸 and have a beautiful local meal, of course, with all the seafood here that we have in the archipelago. That's always a big hit. And then the famous Mozambican grilled chicken. And we offer these at the hotel as well. But we find that the experience when the guest goes into town is completely different. It's two different plates altogether that he's having. And I think it's because he's enjoying not just the food, but the experience as a whole.
The Mozambique chicken, this is the same as the famous Portuguese chicken and the prawns, right? I think it originated in Portugal and it came down with the colonial times, right?
I would have to go into that. I'm not sure if this is the chicken or the egg first. I'm not sure if it was the Portuguese or the Mozambicans together.
I like that one.
Peri-peri. I'm going to assume the peri-peri and the spices might have been the Mozambican influence, and maybe just the way of grilling the chicken might be still Portuguese. I'm not sure.
Guests that come there, what sort of wildlife and nature experiences there by you? What can guests sort of expect, especially like in the sea?
Let me see if I remember them. So we've got in the ocean, we've got the big five, we've got the dolphins, we've got the dugong, which is also known as a manatee. I don't know if you're familiar with it. We've got the dolphins, we've got the manatees, we've got the rays, we've got the whale shark. The African parks and the Bazaruto National Park, they've done an amazing job in the last couple of years, and numbers have thrived in terms of the mantas and the dugong specifically. So you've got everything that you would normally find in the Bazaruto National Park. You'd be able to find African parks and Bazaruto National Park are available on Instagram, and they do a lot of posts with regards to sightings and anything new and exciting that guests have come out and experienced when they go out snorkeling or diving. So I would recommend that guests or interested parties visit their Instagram pages. So that's the African Parks and Bazaruto National Park page.
I know you spoke about 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸, but is there anybody from your staff or community that really makes a big difference?
It's difficult. You're making me pick my favorite child. I'm going to get in trouble if I mention anybody specific. Okay, so I have a personal highlight. We have 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 who works at the bar. He usually works mornings, so he's my coffee maker. He keeps me sane. And 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 is a really special human. When 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 initially joined us, he actually comes from a big fishing family, so that's also good for us because we get all the fresh fish. And 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸, when he initially joined us, this is somebody who couldn't speak English. He struggled to read and write. Very traditional sort of fishing family guy. And he slowly trained up with us, and now he's like the lead barman for our breakfast service, which is really amazing. He's able to do a stock take on his own. He can pick up all the basics in terms of the writing and the reading, and it just shows how much potential there is when you invest in your team. I always say I would much rather hire somebody who's got the right attitude and then teach them later the actual skill sets they would need, rather than going with somebody who can serve me a perfect cup of coffee but he's got a really crappy attitude. I think for me personally, 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 really stands out, only because, as I say, this is a guy who came from just being local fisherman, supplying us with fish, and the next thing he's working at the bar, and he's learned how to speak English, and he's dealing with guests, and he's always got this beautiful big smile on his face. So yeah, 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸.
What would you say to somebody who's still a little bit nervous about traveling to Africa for the first time?
Traveling into Vilanculos specifically, I know that Mozambique as a whole, unfortunately, does get quite a bad rep in terms of travel alerts and travel warnings. I know that Booking.com, for example, still has Mozambique as a high-risk zone. And I think it's really important to understand that the issues that the country is currently experiencing are all up north. As I say, I've been living in Mozambique for almost 12 years now. I brought up 2 children here. If the situation wasn't safe, I definitely wouldn't be here myself. With a teenage daughter, she will go out at night, for example, and I do not have to worry about keeping my phone on and having to wait for an emergency call because it's that safe. If anything, I think the testament, my own personal experience here, and the fact that I brought up 2 children here, the fact that I've continued to stay despite all the bad press that goes out on Mozambique, I think that should serve as a testament to just how safe it is. If you're going into Maputo, like any big city, you need to be aware, but I don't think that's any different from any other big city. If you're traveling into a country, I think it's important to just look at where you're traveling into. And in this case, for example, of course, I'm not going to encourage that anybody go and travel into Cabo Delgado, where there are currently still some issues and the government's trying to deal with it. But in terms of Vilanculos, it's extremely safe. It was also not be in our best interest as operators here to be telling people, please come, knowing that there would be some kind of threat. We say this full-heartedly. It's an honest welcome to anybody wanting to visit, that you are safe. There is nothing happening in Vilanculos that you should worry about at all. Our guests go out for beautiful long walks on the beach every morning. I've never had anybody be harassed. Nothing of the sort. In fact, they all rave about the fact that they almost feel like they've got these exclusive beaches just to themselves. That's the nice thing between us and a lot of other destinations, is we don't have these overcrowded beaches.
To promote your property and Vilanculos, I know that you guys have been very generous in offering a prize giveaway. Would you tell the listeners in your own words what you're going to be giving away?
Okay, fantastic. We're going to be offering a 3-night package that will be on a bed and breakfast basis. This is for either a single or a double room, depending on who the lucky winner is. This would include your airport transfers, your local tourism tax, as I said, breakfast, your welcome drink on arrival. We've got Wi-Fi on the premises. We've got the activity center. And then we'll also throw in a full body massage per person.
Angela, thank you very much. That's very generous of you guys. Where can people find you online?
So you can visit www.vilanculosbeachlodge.com. I just want to quickly mention, when referring to the town, we refer to the town as Vilanculo with a K. That is the official name. But we are still Vilanculos with a CULOS at the end, beachlodge.com. Otherwise, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It's Vilanculos_beach_lodge.
Well, listen, thank you very much. I'm sure people are going to start writing in for that fantastic prize. If you don't, I think you're crazy, because I know the area and that's going to be just unbelievable. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been a fantastic guest. You're really bubbly. I can feel the energy. I'm very, very envious about where you live, and I'm going to come and visit. I just need to convince my wife just to stay at home and look after the kids. But thank you very much. That was Angela Caratelli from Vilanculos Beach Lodge in Mozambique. Do not forget that fantastic prize giveaway. All the entry details can be found in the show notes of this episode, or head over to www.wildsunsets.travel/podcast. Tune in again next week when I'll be chatting to another great African tourism professional. My name is 𝐸𝐬𝐿, and consider this. A few years from now, you will not remember how much it cost you, but you will still remember the memories you made. Keep traveling.